Be do, testing the equipment. We have to test new equipment all the time. We've got to test everything all the time. Testing, testing, testing. Yes, we've got new headphones and we got to test it out. Now, let's see if we can add it done. Testing the banner functionality. Hmm. Look at that. We got a banner up there. That's nice. That's nice. You could do that. Todd is here. Todd, can you hear me? Todd, can you give me a audio visual? Can you see me? Can you hear me? How's the audio? We got a new headphones. Pick good, audio good. All right, because with this one, now let's see if I can comment. Oh, there's my comment. In the Rumble Studio, it doesn't give me a little microphone thing, so I can't even see that the microphone is working at all. What about the bell? Can you hear the bell? Nice Under Armour shirt. Yeah, we got a few of these Under Armours going on over here. Um, what about the bell? Can you hear me ringing a bell right now? Maybe, maybe not. Manage participants' audio controls. Oh, this can tell me camera. Why does it say camera? That I don't know. Headset microphone. This is the new Corsair Virtuoso USB gaming headset. Is this better or worse, Todd, than the previous headset? This is a new headset, supposed to be better. It's got a green light on it, and on the sides light up. No bell, says Todd. Hmm. Headset microphone setting here. Headset microphone. Any bells now? Ringing the bell now. Testing, testing the audio. It would be good in Rumble Studio if I could see some sort of indication as to the functionality of the audio. Todd says, I think it's better. Okay, that's good. Let me check one other thing. While we're checking things, system sound. Oh, that's at 100. We don't want that at 100. Let's bring it down to 92. Bring this up to 90. All right. So it was at 100, no bell. Hmm. We'll have to work on that, but at least some things are working. I think their graphics, like this graphic. Let me get rid of this stupid banner. The graphic on the left for Frankie from Flatbush, it's too big. I'm not sure why it looks that way. I'm gonna try to incorporate other graphics. Maybe they'll work better. Perhaps we need to use one of these. I still think that it's going to be too big, but we'll have to take a look. Circular, create graphic, then show graphic, and remove this graphic. That looks a little bit better. Guess it just depends on the quality of the graphic to begin with. And we can put the live chat up here. There's also an overlay there. But one of the better things I like about this looks small on my phone. Well, everything's going to look smaller on the phone, the telephone. This goes right to private for some reason. So that's going that way. But this circular one looks good. It doesn't really adjust it. You should not change the size. It was perfect. Well, this circular one, I think it doesn't adjust the size of the image. It just it doesn't like automatically figure out how proportional it should be. And it just has. You have to get used to this wire over here and to put it. So kind of weird how it works like that. Son of a bitch. But this image is obviously a lot clearer, and it's actually because infrared made this graphic for me, as opposed to the other one, which I made myself, which you should not do. See, this thing would be good if it had a clip on here. Otherwise, kind of gets in your way. That's kind of annoying. Before you change the size, I could read it. Now I cannot read it. Yeah, but that's because this logo is smaller in general and also has smaller lettering just in general because of the logo. The other one just has Frankie from Flatbush in large friendly letters. Now this is a sort of like a more intricate logo that Infrared did for me. It's kind of cooler, but it's if you're looking at it on the phone, you're not going to be able to tell what it says. And also, the background of this is transparent, so it's whatever's behind the image. So, but I would say this is pretty weird in Rumble Studio where I can't tell that the audio is working. So I'm going to have to just rely on the chat if we're going to do Rumble Studio to tell me if there's something wrong with the audio. And that's got its own problems. That's got its own problems. So I would say Rumble Studio is pretty good, but it's not perfect. But hopefully, this new microphone will not cut out in the middle of what we're doing. I don't know if I'm going to continue to use this or restream. I'll have to figure that one out as we move along. But otherwise, all right, doesn't seem like there's too many problems, so that's good. That's pretty good. That's pretty. As to any jet news, there does not seem to be any. Um, you wonder if, you wonder if Muji's waiting until June the 1st to make any roster moves when we will get extra cap space. See, the interesting thing is Twitter's telling me, or X, that there's 4 people listening to this on X. But then Rumble Studio says, no, there's 0. So I think Twitter's lying. X is lying. Bunch of lying liars. Bunch of lying liars. I think Rumble knows who's really listening and who's really watching. That's what I think about that. But it's kind of hard to tell otherwise. But it's also nice to have the counter on there. Uh, would be good if any change in the audio check. It's weird because they have these settings, default, communications, headset, microphone, but it's not really clear what's the difference. What's the difference between default and communications? And then it says the name of the device that you're using. In this case, the Corsair Virtuoso. It doesn't tell you what's the difference. What's the difference between the default and the communications? Todd says, I predict a 9-8. Man, 9-8 would be a good season, Todd. I think it's more like there's a caveat. I'll put a caveat, Todd. There's a caveat. But if not for the caveat, I'm thinking more like 5-6 wins. The caveat, of course, is Justin Fields. If Justin Fields develops and plays really well, then we could win more games, and that's just an unknown right now. But if he doesn't and he's the same old Justin Fields, then I think 5 or 6 wins. Todd says audio is good with this. All right, picking out these comments is also pretty easy with this system. Audio is good, but we can't hear the bell under any circumstances. So uh, there's still that issue in here. Stay Woke TV. What's up, Stay Woke? Um, so we, you know, so that's the way I see it, Todd. 9-8 is a pretty. I mean, look at the schedule, Todd. Who are we beating? I mean, the Panthers, maybe. I mean, maybe the Patriots once. I mean, I showed you our roster. Now the roster's not done. There could be more moves after June 1st. So June 1st, we're going to have $30 million extra in cap space. We got to spend that money on somebody. So let's say we sign, let's say June 1st comes and we sign Zadarius Smith and Foley Fatukasi and, a blocking tight end of some sort. Then I feel a lot better about the roster. You know, it's not that we're that far away, but Muji really just didn't address key spots on the roster. I mean, expecting a rookie tight end to come in and be amazing is a pretty risky assumption. Most tight ends take a little while to get going. Most do, not all. Stay Woke says, "What's up? Happy to have you." Well, we're testing out some new equipment. Stay Woke, excuse me. I got this new microphone and headset here. We're trying out Rumble Studio. We're trying to see what's going to be the best way to do this. As you can see, I'm building up my audiobook studio. This is another microphone over here. This is what you call the Shure 7SMB, whatever it is, the best one. So we're going to be using that for my audiobook business. And so we got to build up this space here to be audiobook friendly studio. Todd says if they run the ball, I think they can make it happen. Yeah, but I'm worried about the defense, Todd, mostly. I mean, the offense could be good. If we run the RPO system and run it well, the offense could really be good. I agree, especially if Fields improves just a little bit with his throwing. But I'm really worried about the defense. So they could have, I mean, it's possible, Todd, that they have, a top 15 offense, top half of the league, and they still only win 5 games because the defense is so bad. Teams are just going to run all over us. It's going to be pretty boring to watch if you think about it. It's not going to be a lot of exciting plays, and it's going to be pretty frustrating when the other team's running the ball down our throat every play, as I've predicted. Again, unless we pick up some fatties. We need some fatties, Todd. Now, everybody needs some fatties in their life. Yeah, fatties are a good thing sometimes. I mean, not always, but yeah. Like I said, if we pick up a Zadarius Smith and Foley Fatukasi as an example, all right, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm probably gonna do, Todd, a video on the sniffer position, which probably nobody is doing videos about. Let me know, Todd or Stay Woke TV. Anybody, any of these Jets content creators that you're familiar with, other than me, gonna do a video on or has done a video on the sniffer position? Let me know because I'm about to do one probably, especially if this microphone works, which it apparently is working good. So that was part of this test as well. And you know, all right, stay woke. Yeah, we got a guy, but he's a UDFA, Todd. We'd like guys who are actually good at football. You can't just be fat. I mean, fat is important, but then you actually have to be good at football in addition to that. So yeah, the guy's first name is Fatorma or something like that. No, he's a defensive tackle. Fatorma Maluba or whatever his name is. I mean, you want me to bring up the roster? I tell you, Todd, I'll bring up the roster. I'll do it. You're tempting me. I will do it. I will bring up this roster so quick you'll make your head spin. I will bring up this roster. Okay? Ain't nobody got a roster like old Frankie. Okay? Here it is right here. Let me just move this over here. Put this over here. Uh, put this over here. And let me see about sharing the screen. Let's take a look. Take a little look. Okay, I did a screen share, but now I got to go and do this presentation. And then let's take away this stupid logo, remove, and let's take how do I wish I knew how to use this stuff over here. Take the live chat off. All right, now you can see yeah. Uh, where are we? Okay. So we did sign a guy who I'm actually very curious. This guy Leander Weigand over here. This is a guy out of Germany. He plays in the European Football League. So that's interesting. And but the guy who's called Fat is over here, Fatorma Mulba. He's a defensive tackle. Todd says graph is good. Okay, good to know. Sluggo seems to be here. Frankie, do a video on the U.S. Navy future world map. Nah, I don't think I'm going to do that, Sluggo. Sorry. U.S. Navy. I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't. What do you think I know about the U.S. Navy? I'm 82nd Airborne, my friend. I'm 82nd Airborne. I jump out of airplanes, Sluggo. You think I know about ships? What do I know about shipping? I don't know nothing about no ships, brother. All I know is an airplane is a great vehicle to get from one place to another, especially when you can jump out of it and just land and be where you are. You know what I'm saying, Sluggo? So anyway, this fat guy that you're talking about is this guy right here, Fatorma Mulba, but he's a UDFA. So who knows? He's probably not going to be better than anybody we already got. So that is where we are. Out of these UDFAs, probably Dean Clark is the one who has a chance to make it the best chance. And then this kid Jamarcus Weston, he's interesting because he's known as a special teams ace, He also plays defensive end, so that's unusual. So he's an interesting cat. Might have a shot, but just because of positional scarcity, Dean Clark this he has a chance. But he's going to play his butt off, of course. And of course, Caden Davis could come in and replace Zerline if he kicks well. And any of the wide receivers could have a shot. I mean, I would say if there's an injury, Gus Hartwig, UDFA out of Purdue, he might have a shot. But I really want to see this Leander Wygand play. Big dude, very strong. He did 38 reps on the bench at the combine, which was the most out of anybody apparently. And coached by Joe Thomas over in Europe. So he's gotten good coaching. He's big and strong. Uh, Interesting guy. Bring him over here. Maybe we could have something. Maybe we could have something. Um, Slugger says it'll blow your mind. I don't know about that. Todd says C-130 going down the strip. Airborne Ranger going to take a little trip. Going to take a little trip. 31 troopers. How's it go? 31 troopers. Destination unknown. We don't know if we're ever getting home. Something like that. So I like the way when I'm down here doing this, it puts the comments on top. So I like that. That's interesting. Um, but anyway, so this is the roster we got, and so when you're talking about 9 wins, Todd, I mean, really, I broke this down the other day, and some people got upset with me, but we only have 19 average and above players on the whole roster. You could argue, I mean, if you want to tell me who's average and above that I have below average or roster fringe or whatever. You could argue with how I rated them, but I don't know. I don't think there's any real way to argue. Who are you going to say is better than I have them? I mean, and in fact, I gave you Michael Carter as an average player. He played below average last year, though he was injured. I gave you Jermaine Johnson as an average player. He's coming off an injury. I gave you Eric Watts as an average player based on his PFF score, but he didn't really make that much of an impact. I gave you Justin Fields as an average player. You could say actually he's below average. I gave you Isaiah Davis as average. I mean, I graded on a curve for the Jets, and I still came up at 19. So that's the problem because just looking at the AFC East, here's the Bills. They got 29. And here's the Patriots. They got 25. And here's the Dolphins. They got 24. So everybody in our division has more than we do. And somehow, and I graded on a curve being a Jet fan. I think I graded on a curve for the Jets. And we're still have the fewest. Um, Now, the only, you could say, well, wait a minute. Your methodology has some flaws. Now, every methodology does have some flaws. And so what you could say is, well, the flaws are that some blue chippers or red chippers or really good players uh, account more for winning than others. So, for example, one of our average players is Thomas Hennessy down here. He's a long snapper. He's average. He's fine. But Thomas Hennessy being average and the starting quarterback being average are not the same thing because the starting quarterback has much more of an impact on wins and losses than does the long snapper. So you could say, okay, that's one of the faults of this methodology here, Frankie. Okay, accepted. That's true. Agreed. But we don't have like if this was, you know, Josh Allen, and then the rest of the roster was the same, and Josh Allen was a blue chipper, you could say, all right, Josh Allen, the blue chipper, is going to lift the whole team up, which he does do. But we don't have Josh Allen. So while that's a valid criticism, we also don't have something that you could realistically say is going to lift the team up significantly. The Bills have a much better quarterback. They have Josh Allen, and they have the most average and above players. I mean, There's a reason why they are where they are. The Patriots, Drake May right now, like somebody could say, well, wait a minute, Drake May, you have him as average. He's gonna keep getting better. We don't know that. So right now he's average, but he could improve and become a red chipper or a blue chipper, and then that would lift up the whole team. The Dolphins, well, the Dolphins have a weird team. They have a very top heavy team. Anything happens to Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, or Tua, they're pretty much cooked. But that's where we are with this roster. So I think saying 9 wins, Todd, is very optimistic at this point. We gotta unless we add more people. Yeah, we had some fun sayings, that's for sure. But yeah, so that's where we are with this roster. I think calling for 9 wins is a tall order. Really, we just don't have enough good players. And that stomps it. Okay, and then where's this comment? It's weird how it goes over there. So like, and we don't have the quarterback that lifts all boats. So you know, it is what it is. It's going to be an interesting year. The thing to watch this year is going to basically be Justin Fields, as far as I can tell. So I guess this microphone's working pretty good. I got to do something about this wire. This wire's not great the way it is. Yeah, well, I think we're all tired of losing, but it's one of the reasons why what we did with the Rodgers era has been so frustrating. I mean, basically sacrificed everything for 2 years of Rodgers, and one of those years got killed with injury. So, and then that, man. So I just don't see it here. Sluggo says, "Just win, baby." This is one of my least favorite sayings in football. Everybody says this. It's like, yeah, we all understand what the goal is, Sluggo. We get it. Win. The question is, how do you win? See, like when you say things like "just win," it doesn't answer the question how. How does one win? What is the process by which we will go about winning? I'm gonna have to do something about this cord here. I'll figure it out. So yeah, just win. No, set up the process so that you continually win and you know how to win on a continuing, ongoing basis. We all understand the assignment. Got to win games. Question is how. And it's going to be tough going forward. I mean, think about it. The Bills are set up for the next decade. Right? Josh Allen's not going anywhere for 10 plus years, right? If Drake May is the real deal in New England, now they got Drake May and Mike Vrabel. They're going to be set up for a decade plus. Now, the Dolphins are not in great shape, but that's at least two teams in our division that we're going to have problems with for 10 plus years, with the one caveat being that Drake May develops. And so, uh, you know, what the hell? It's going to be hard. Stay Woke says, I just feel like we're the punching bag of the league. Yeah. Well, when you lose this many games and you have a meddlesome owner as well, which doesn't help us, then yeah, that's what happens. Brian Goldstein is here. Brady Cook. Yeah, this is a good take, Brian. He basically can do all the things that both Fields and Tyrod can do. So if he's good enough, He has the skill set to run the things we should be running this year. And that's another thing. We don't exactly know what we're running this year. We think we know. I think I know, but we're never 100% sure until we actually see it on the field. But when we're running an RPO offense, then yeah, he can do it to some degree. I mean, he has the athleticism. So why not? And if not, then he's on the P squad. It's no problem. Todd says it's weird how you click the comment here and then it goes to the top on the live chat on the right and then it goes to the top here. Todd says, I hope our coaches do such a good job of the cornerbacks that we can name it the no fly zone. Well, we have been the no fly zone the last few years, but problem is teams are going to run at us. Phil Adams is here, says just back from Thunderbolt bots, and now there's another superhero online. What is the Thunderbots? Thunderbots? Phil Adams, is this some Great Britain thing? Welcome to the Thunderbots, everybody, down in Hertfordshire. We don't know what the Thunderbots are. God's sakes, Phil Adams, you think we know what the Thunderbots or the Thunderbolts or whatever the heck you're talking about is? You think we know? We don't know. You know what we know, Phil. We're not getting any bells. Listen, I'm hitting the bell right now. Ready? And we can't hear it. God's sakes, with these damn things. So weird. We cannot hear a bell for the life of us. I mean, some of us are dying to hear a bell, and yet we cannot hear a bell no matter what we do. And it's annoying to some of us to sit here and chime a bell, which many people would enjoy hearing on the other side of this microphone. And yet we can sit here and chime this bell all night long and no one will hear it. Now that is annoying, I must say. Yeah, give me some likes. Although, this is just a spontaneous live stream, Todd. So I don't know how many people are going to give likes for a spontaneous live stream where we're just testing out some equipment. Phil Adams, what's your opinion on the audio? This is a new headset, Phil Adams. Look at this. This thing lights up over here. See that? Look at that. Look at that. And over here. But still no bell sound, Todd says. Well, you know, just when we think we got things figured out, Todd, we go into Rumble Studio and not so much. But Phil Adams, what do you think of this headset? Different, same, better, worse? Any difference? Can you tell a difference in the audio quality? Todd says he thinks it's a little better. Uh, it's working, so that's something. The other thing is, I just got this Shure microphone over here, as you can see. So we're setting up the audiobook studio over there. That's why there's all this crap in here. There's going to be even more crap in here because, you got to make the studio seem small, a nice, comfy location from which to record our audiobooks. Brian Goldstein, it's much better quality. Oh, okay. All right. Brian Goldstein says this is much better. 15-yard penalty says, I thought I heard a tink there for a minute. I wonder, what if I put it here? It's so weird to me. Where anybody that does Bell Zero, audio 100%, chair massive. Well, that's not the chair. That's a that's actually a inflatable bed thing. Bell Zero. But you know what's interesting to me? Anybody that does live stream, is there anybody in the chat who does live streams? Why, when they give you these settings, right? You can click the setting for the audio, and they give you these settings. One is default, and then it names the microphone. And then it says communications, and then it names the microphone, the same name. And then it says headset microphone with the name of the microphone. And you can choose any one of those. Why? Why is it there a different default and communications? What would you be using a microphone for other than to communicate? I need a default setting and then I need a communication setting. Why? What is the point of this? I'd like to know. All it does is confuse the hell out of everybody and doesn't even give you a damn bell. I mean, the bell's right here. I'm ringing it. What's the difference between my mouth and this microphone and this bell? Right here. Here it is. What in the world? Now, this may be a particular sticking point for the Frankie Show fans, but if we're going to be using Rumble Studio, which we're in, this is Rumble Studio over here. You can tell with this thing over here. Uh, if which this is where we're at. If we're going to be using that, then it'd be nice if I could figure out how to make the bell sound. I figured it out in Restream finally, but JTS Paulie's here. Yeah, we got to test out the equipment, Paulie. Yeah, I got a cousin named Paulie. But we gotta test out our equipment, Paulie. This is a new headset right here. We're setting up the studio. This is a new microphone over here, but this is for audiobooks. And we are stuffing this room full of all sorts of items so that we can get a better sound. You understand? We're trying to create an audiobook studio. We need a studio. At what distance from the mic do we lose the sound? I don't know. Can you hear it now? I mean, I wonder why. If you can you not hear it right here, right now? The frequency range is filtered out for the bell. It's not in the voice range, meaning that only sounds within two or 3 inches of the mic can be heard. I mean that might be true because when you have on the headphones, by the way, and you put in a digital audio workstation, a DAW, you can do pretty good. You can do pretty good recordings there, and you notice that the background noise is like nothing, zero. And the way they do that, I guess, is to focus this microphone on one very small audio range distance. And I guess then you can't, if this thing is a foot away, 6 inches away, then you can't hear it because it doesn't work like that. I got a cousin named Frankie. We call him Frankooch. Well, we call our cousin Paulie Cousin Paulie. He's a chef. He's an Italian restaurant chef, by the way. By the way, if you're ever in Albany, New York, you ever heard of it? You go to Cafe Italia over there on a Central Avenue, okay? Has the best Italian restaurante in all of the Tri-City area. And it's run by my family. Cafe Italia, Central Avenue, Albany, New York. Check it out. Check it out. Get some amazing Italian food. And my cousin Paulie's the chef. Nothing better. Nothing better. Nothing better. 15-yard penalty. Yeah, I guess so. Nobody will hear anything except things that are right next to the microphone. Um, Sluggo says, "For whom the bell tolls." Yeah, it tolls for thee, Sluggo, but it doesn't toll for me because I can't get it to toll for anybody. Phil Adams, no. As Goldstein says, it must be the range. But also, there's settings. Who sets up this range? I mean, why are there settings that say default and then communications? Why are there different settings for that? Why? That's in Rumble Studio. And it's the same in Restream. Restream also has it. There must be a reason for this. I'd like to know what it is. Why do we have to differentiate communications as if a microphone is being used for other purposes than communications? It makes no sense. Somebody's going to have to explain that to me. I mean, Restream has it, Rumble Studio has it. There must be a reason for it. You know what? I'm going to look this up. I mean, we have AI. There's no reason to be confused. Let's see. Why are there settings in live stream software such as Rumble Studio and Restream for default and communications? What is the difference? All right, let's let AI tell us what's going on here, because we live in an era where we got AI, we got all the answers to everything in the whole goddamn universe. There's no reason to not know something. So let's see what happens. Default setting, okay. Purpose. The default setting is typically the standard audio configuration used for general streaming purposes. Okay. Communication setting. The communication setting is optimized for scenarios where voice clarity and communication are the primary focus. It's designed to enhance the quality of spoken audio, often at the expense of other audio elements like background music or ambient sound. Okay, therefore, the default setting is what we should be using if we want ambient sounds, correct? So now let's switch it to. All right, now we're on default setting. Notice any difference? Ringing a bell. Notice any difference? Probably not. Todd says, "What about the field goal kickers?" We got a field goal kicker. We do have a new one, Phil. Todd. Sorry. Uh yeah, Todd, we're working out Cade. I showed you the roster. What's his name? Cade something or other. You have an integrated headset mic. Many podcasts have a separate mic and headphones. I know that, Goldstein. I like this. I like a lot of things about having the integrated headset and mic. It makes it a lot easier to move around. And also, when I'm going to be doing the games with Green Bean and all them, uh, I got to write a bunch of stuff. I don't want to, like, every time I talk, I have to figure out where the microphone is. No bell, no difference. Right. So even AI tells me there's supposed to be a difference in these two things, and there's no difference. So there's an intended difference. It's supposed to be, this is supposed to be the as is setting, it says. And it says it's designed to capture and to transmit audio as is without specific optimizations for particular types of content. It's ideal for streaming scenarios such as gaming, casual broadcasts, or content creation where the audio doesn't require specialized processing. It usually includes all audio sources, for example, microphone, system audio, or background music mixed together in a balanced way. So, this setting is supposed to include things like this bell over here, and it doesn't. So, I think it's supposed to do something, but it doesn't actually do the thing it's supposed to do. The 15 says, I looked it up too. Search Filtergate. Well, I just looked it up on AI. It told me what it's supposed to do, but it doesn't actually do the thing it says it's supposed to do. So now this setting is supposed audio, uh, communication is supposed to be better. You're supposed to hear my voice even better than before. But I don't think it provides any extra anything. So the interesting thing now, of course, here's a separate microphone over here, Brian. Get a bell mic. I mean, I figured it out in Restream, but now I got to try to figure it out in Rumble Studio. But in any case, for audiobooks, these headsets are almost good enough, almost, but not quite. But then, so now I got this Shure. This is state of the art. This mic back here is the one everybody uses. All your favorite podcasters. Sluggo says, read 15-yard penalties chat. What? Where's that? I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't know what's going on. Bill Adams says it must be high spec mic, like air traffic controller use. You don't hear pilots hearing bells in the background. I mean, well, what I don't understand, Phil, is like this software, Rumble Studio or Restream, is designed for a specific purpose. Air traffic, like pilots, are just on a regular headset. They're not on. They're not transmitting to the whole world. They're just on a broadcast system. So, well, actually, better get a soundboard like Jim Cramer. So the soundboard is something you need if you have multiple inputs, which I don't really have. So I do have obviously a uh, not a sound board, but obviously this mic back here is going to have an XLR cable, XLR, not USB, and that's going to go into a. It's not a soundboard, but it's a basically it's a ghost power device, and then it goes into a recording device. So that's where I record all the audiobooks on. And then when I'm editing, I could use these headsets to do minor edits to get the sound just right. So there you go. Slogo says search filter gate. All right, we'll search it. We'll search it later. Todd says, how can I get your audiobooks? Search my name at audiobooks.com. You know, if you know, you know. Audiobooks. My audiobooks are available everywhere except for Audible. They're not on Audible. The number one, the number one store in the world. They're not on there. But any other ones. Logo says, is there an audiobook of the Gulag Archipelago? Yeah, I'm sure there is. Why not? And that book is almost in the public domain, or might be. So I could do that one if I wanted, but if it's in the public domain, but it might be. I wonder if it is. Let's ask Grok about that. Is the Gulag Archipelago in the public domain? The answer is no, it is not. Oh, okay. I was wrong about this. Way wrong. I thought this was published like in the 30s. It was actually published in 1973. Wow. So this will not be in the public domain anytime soon. So that one's out. That one's out, but I'm sure somebody did. Sluggo, yeah, just search for it. You can go to audiobooks.com. You can go to, you know, basically wherever they sell audiobooks. I'm sure they got one for that one. All right, so this microphone's working pretty good. Rumble Studio's working pretty good. Get your questions in. Any last questions before we leave for the night? We got to finish setting up the studio. We got to finish recording. We got things to do. We got to edit. Uh, I'm working on a Dashiell Hammett novel right now. You know how hard it is to work on a novel? Takes forever. Filter gate, also called a gate filter. It's software to control volume on signals. Weird how when you pick comments, weird how it does that. But anyway, we got stuff to do. Get your final questions in if you have any or comments. We got audio book stuff to do. Uh, Otherwise, we'll see if we do any videos this week. I'm thinking about doing a video about the sniffer position and how it could help us this year. That's another thing that nobody would be talking about is in terms of very specific things that our offense could do uh, that maybe could make elevate the performance of the unit in a way that nobody's thinking about at the moment. The sniffer being one of those. But I might do a video on that. Otherwise, we'll be back on Sunday for Coffee with Frankie. Thanks for being here. I appreciate your assistance as always. Thank you with all the audio problems and issues and crap. Where did you get the pad on the table? The pad on the table? That's, if you want to know, Brian, that's a mover's blanket. That's just that blue thing. That's a mover's blanket, Brian, laid over the top of a desk. Very sophisticated. Very sophisticated. Uh, so, get yourself, if you're thinking about a studio, an audio studio, or any kind of music studio, movers blankets are great because they're thick. You can lay them on the floor, you can put them on surfaces, you name it. Movers blankets. And then if you have to move, and you notice there's the movers blanket on the wall. This is movers blanket here. This is my parting gift from 82nd Airborne Division, 18th Field Artillery Brigade, Colonel Dennis Lewis, right here. Right here. So, yeah, we got some very sophisticated materials, Brian. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you later.